Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Today, we're going to talk to Steve Ellison. His company is called Santiago Roofing. So he was even telling me before that a lot of people think his last name is Santiago, but it's not. So all about roofing. Steve, you've been working with roofs for how long? You were telling me that actually your dad even worked with roofs, right?
Yeah, he was a salesman for a roofing company. And I started or learned the trade when I was 14 years old. I roofed all through high school and college and decided to start my own business in 1984, which is about 44 years ago.
So you've been doing roof for a long time, and your roofing company is called Santiago Roofing. Well, let's just dive right in. Is there a most popular roof that homeowners like to use?
Well, most of the roofs that we're putting on now in residential homes are composition or asphalt shingles, those fiberglass shingles. They all go by kind of a different name, but that seems to be one of the more popular ones. And newer homes put on concrete tile roofs.
And speaking of those types of roofs, what's the hierarchy of the most expensive to the lowest cost roof? What's your lowest cost roof?
So a composition roof would be less than, say, a metal roof or a clay tile roof.
So the composition's the lowest, and those are the thin, they kind of look like sandpaper.
Darryl, they look nicer now. They make them thicker and a little more dimensional looking. So that's why a lot of people have turned to that versus the heavier weight concrete tile roofs.
Yeah, because the composition you can walk on, they're durable. And what's the lifespan of a composition roof typically?
Now they go up to 40-year warranties for the composition roofs. They'll last almost 30 to 40 years.
Oh, that's real. So then what would be considered, let's say, a step up above that?
Going, maybe with a material that looks like a wood shake or a concrete tile, that would be maybe a step above that.
So you have that, and then there's metal tile or metal roofs. Is it considered metal tile? Is that what you call that?
Yeah, they could be called metal. They have them in aluminum and metal to look like shakes somewhat. So there's some nice looking.
There's clay tile. Clay tile is kind of a specialty roof, though. You don't necessarily use that for all, because it can be a little fragile, or am I mistaken?
You're right. They're very fragile. It's difficult to walk on. If you don't know how to walk on them, you're going to about break every tile you step on.
I can imagine. And then let's say, what's your high-end roof? What would that be considered?
Those are either a tile roof or a shake-looking product that is made of either fiber cement or other materials.
And you say tile, like a cement tile.
Yeah. There's different types of tile, like you say, that come in concrete, clay, metal.
And actually, it's funny when you said the composition, there's a type of composition roof. I'm thinking of Fullerton has a lot of these houses that, and even Tustin, Anaheim, where they're built in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they wrap around. And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, there is some really nice looking roofs out there.
How long does it take to replace a roof? I'm guessing you've got, well, of course, California, it's not like we have a ton of rain here, but you have to kind of gauge that out. How long does a typical roof replacement take? A week, 2 weeks?
For a residential home, it takes, and we're doing one in Orange right now, it'll take us about 4 days to do the roof, from tearing it off to, sheeting it if we need to do that, and then installing the shingle. So average 3-4 days.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's easy to get a clear weather here in California for 3 or 4 days to put a roof on. So what's it cost nowadays for a roof? Everything seems to be gone up so much. What's a detailed breakdown?
That's a catch-all question because it depends on the size of the roof and the material that we're installing. But I mean, you could hear about roofs costing anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, but generally, on average, a residential home re-roofing is going to probably be $15,000 to $20,000.
All right, got it. It's something that surprised me you did and Steve's been my go-to roofer guy for decades, but I was pleasantly surprised on how little it costs to replace broken or cracked tiles. I know this isn't in my list of questions, but what would it cost for you to repair like 15 tiles on a roof? We come across that a lot.
Right. And we've got a minimum with our workers' comp being amongst the highest in the industry. A minimum charge is like $500, even if we've got to go out and just replace a few tile, because the time to get there, to get the material, to get it up there, and it's almost not worth it to us to do it for much less.
Do roofs come with warranties? What's the standard warranty for a roof?
A new roof, a warranty could be for the composition, asphalt type shingle, could be 30 to 40 year warranty. So they have pretty good warranties. Tile roofs have what they call lifetime warranty, which is about the same 30, 40 year warranty on those. So the warranties have improved over the years. They used to be like 20-year warranties for a composition roof and other material.
Yeah, in fact, I've heard someone, I don't know if it was you years ago or some roofer, I think, said that with a tile roof, a really nice tile roof, they said the house is going to fall down before that tile roof fails.
You know, Darryl, what goes before the tile is the underlayment paper. So you could have a nice tile roof, a brand new house, but in 30 years, that paper is going to dry out, start cracking, and you could have leaks. We've done a number of homes in the last 5 years where we've had to pull up the tile and just replace the paper and then put the same tile.
Are there any steps to ensure the safety of the homeowner's property and your workers during this roofing project?
We tell them to stay inside. Don't keep your pets inside, whatever. But generally they'll come out, and it's usually not a problem, but we make them aware that, you know, we're going to be roofing. Don't have your kids outside playing, and be careful, or let us know maybe when you're coming out.
Common sense.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Where are the most leaks? I mean, is there a place where you find the most roof leaks?
And especially in a wind-driven rain, it seems like sometimes the vents, and vents have to be sealed where the flashing meets the pipe or whatever, and that doesn't last forever. So every 5 to 10 years, those need to be resealed or caulked so they don't leak. But generally, that's one of the areas.
That's actually to my point of ongoing maintenance. What can a homeowner do for their roof? You mentioned every 5 to 10 years. Is that something, for example, you would do or your company?
Yes. Yeah, we would do that. And so if they gave us a call, I mean, we don't usually follow up ourselves, but after a roof's installed, check back with us after 5 or 10 years, and especially if they've had a problem. But it's not something that it's going to leak after 5 or 10 years necessarily, but it's good to keep up on it so it lasts longer.
Right. I've seen so many different types of roofs. I'm guessing that the pitch of the roof will have an idea of how expensive it would be to replace. And have you any good stories that there was some real challenging roofs for you to do? I mean, I see some of these pitches that are just...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The most challenging ones are usually the ones that are 2 or 3 stories high and the roof is real steep. Then we have to make sure the guys are secured up on the roof with harnesses. And there's more safety concerns, with that type of roof. It makes me really nervous when my guys are working on a roof like that they're going to be safe. And of course, it takes way longer to do a steeper roof than it does just a regular 4 and 12 pitch roof.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's of course flat roofs. There's not a lot of flat roofs. I know oftentimes I'll sell homes that will have a regular roof, let's call it, and then they'll have a flat roof over the garage or something like that. Now that would probably need to be changed out every 10 years or so.
Yeah, they only last anywhere from 10 to 20 years, depending on the material that's installed. But those are types of roofs where you can't put shingle or a tile on. They have to have either a torch applied roll roofing or other synthetic materials that we use. There's now some vinyl roofing, and
So how do you go about finding out where the leak is?
Experience, just knowing where to look. And we don't look necessarily right above where the leak is. It could be anywhere within 10 feet or more.
That makes sense. So do you get any calls to where people want to add insulation, or whenever you do a roof change, you have to also pay attention to insulation? Is that fair to say too?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we've also got a license to do insulation. We only do it if we're replacing a roof though, but we'll help the homeowner with that. We can add more insulation, either like a blown-in insulation or the rollout kind of insulation. But as far as the roof, now most cities require that you put what's called a cool roof on. That's a reflective roof, that now the shingles come reflective. And we're getting more environmentally conscious, so those are being required to install.
Oh, that's interesting. I was going to ask you about are there any new technologies when it comes to roofing? So that's one of them.
That's within the last 5 years. Those have come out. And like I say, cities have kind of bought into that, saying, okay, we're going to require that those are installed so people save a little money and are better insulated, so it's not as hot in their house during the summer.
Can one change the color of a roof without changing the whole roof?
There's maybe a couple of companies that more for tile than composition, but that will pressure wash the roof, go through a process of, painting the roof. It can't be just a regular paint. It has to be like a special paint, because the sun would cause problems and, cause fading or cracking of the coloring.
Well, I tell you, and many people will already know this, but the roof can really, really change the entire look for the house. I guess that's obvious, huh?
It can give it a whole facelift. And we just finished a roof in Brea where the homeowner said, "Oh my gosh, my house looks way better." I said, "Yeah, you can get probably $50,000 more for it if you sell it."
So do you guys change colors of roofs?
Our company doesn't do that.
What's your biggest issue coming up with roofs with the public? Is there an issue that comes up a lot?
The concern that I have is, and homeowners should have, is the price keeps going up all the time on the materials. It seems like they're raising the cost of materials about every 4 to 6 months. The price goes up 5 to 7%. So that's an issue. But, since the pandemic and with inflation, we're no different than any other business as far as prices going up.
If someone has a wood shake roof, other than replacing it, if it's a 25-year-old wood shake roof or even 35-year-old, is there really anything that could be done other than replacing it?
Yeah. We've replaced the missing shingles and nailed down loose shingles. And so they can still repair it. Once it gets much over 20 years old, then it might be a little difficult or not worth it to try to repair it. It would be better then to replace it. But if it's still 10 to 20 years old, we can patch it.
Well, I tell you, Steve, this has been fantastic. I think you've given our listeners hopefully a lot of great information about roofs. This podcast is everything about housing and real estate. So, tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you if anybody has any questions for you.
You could see our website at santiagoroofing.com. You could call me direct on my cell phone at 714-745-5178. I don't have salesmen. I am the salesman and contractor. So you're dealing with the owner and contractor direct, versus a lot of the companies now have sales guys that's all they are, is salespeople. They haven't had a lot of experience in roofing, where I've actually done the roofing and it's my company. So I think that's a good thing for the homeowner.
I can absolutely give a testimonial to Steve because he's been terrific. I appreciate everybody listening. I hope you guys find this useful, and please click on that subscribe button. The more that we get subscriptions, the better this podcast goes, and the more people can find out all the great information we're getting out there. So thanks again, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darryl. Thank you.